Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching. Jake and Justin here with a loaded show for you all today. And we got to kick it off here, Justin, with a big announcement. It kind of follows in the wake of some of the stuff we've been talking about recently on this show, especially towards the beginning, because obviously this is just one of the most important and impactful things that we do with ball watching. But we've talked about Hope for the Holidays before for a lot of you all, and we'd like to see more of your beautiful faces at the event. Reminder, it is on December 20th. So not this Saturday, next Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. at the pitch, and it is open to the public. We are selling tickets. And we're also soliciting local sponsors. We have plenty of amazing corporate sponsors that are going to be there with us and contributing to this cause, which is head and neck cancer. But for you all, opportunity. Tomorrow is the actual anniversary of our first two Hope for the Holidays. This is going to be our third. And to give a better chance for you all to participate and join us, we are doing a 24-hour flash sale on all of our tickets. There's no cap for it. It's only 20 tickets or 40 tickets. It's however many tickets we sell at this price. It is what it is. We are knocking the ticket price, which is $100 right now, down to $80 with a 20% discount just for you all for the next 24 hours. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, this went live at 7:30 local time here in St. Louis, and it will be live until 11:30 tomorrow, Thursday, the 11th, December 11th. Go get your tickets. Justin, we've talked about it. I don't really know how much more salesman we can be. I promise you it is worth it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's already worth it because, again, this is all going to charity. All the proceeds are going to charity. Us knocking this off is us trying to fund this to help grow this even more, to help raise money and awareness for head and neck cancer. But now you're getting from $100 to $80 to get 4 hours of all you can drink with food, with time with us, for special presentations from us and John O'Leary, St. Louis's very own. For anybody that hasn't already, you need to go watch Soul on Fire. That is a moving movie, and he is an incredible speaker, and we could not be more excited to have him. So do this flash sale, like you said, Jake, 20% off our tickets, then knocks it down from $100 to $80 for a Hope for the Holidays, which is next Saturday, December 20th, just from 1 to 4 p.m. You got the rest of your night ahead of you. You can use it as a little pregame. Just come and enjoy it with us. It's a hell of a time.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring your friends. Tell your family. If it's not you, send it to someone else that you think might find this interesting. But there's so much for everyone. Food, drink, raffles, exclusive silent raffles for huge, really cool sports items here in St. Louis, from City, from the Blues, from Cardinals, you name it. We've got it covered. John O'Leary, obviously the keynote for us. And we get a presentation from a physician at Seidman Cancer Center who does head and neck cancer surgery, which is always fascinating. One of my favorite parts of the night is always hearing from the physicians that actually treat patients. And it's just a moving, really, really cool, emotional night. And we're obviously biased here, but we'd love to see more of you all there. So we're giving this opportunity to you all for the next 24 hours. Go procure your tickets. We'll put out a post after this that has all the information, where that link is to go buy your tickets. It's super easy. It's on Eventbrite. And again, anything that we make during this event, we donate 100% back to Seidman Cancer Center. We make nothing on this, and you can talk to anyone about that. So if you all ever wanted to support us in any way at all, besides just listening to the show, or if you just want to show any bit of appreciation or make a difference this time of year, or you someone in your life that's been impacted by cancer, this is a great opportunity to do so. So I encourage you all to buy tickets for Hope for the Holidays. They're 20% off for the next 24 hours, a little bit more. We give you all actually a couple extra hours to throw that in because we love you that much.
Yeah, absolutely, Jake. And I'm still so excited, like we talked about. Like you and I have just been busier during this time. Like I was going around. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of our local vendors that are contributing to this. I stopped by Schlafly, Four Hands, and Second Shift, breweries that are looking to make a difference, contribute to help make a massive local gift basket that we will have at the event as well. That when you're there, it's part of the raffle, so you can be a part of. So shout out to everybody in St. Louis. We'll be reaching out and letting you guys know of all the local vendors that are supporting us as well. But this is my favorite thing that we do, and I just get kind of giddy when we talk about it.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, and in the theme of giddy, it's the holiday season, right, Justin? And Christmas isn't here yet. The holidays aren't here yet for everyone, but they're quickly approaching. I feel like we're living in a winter wonderland with SLU men's soccer right now, Justin. We've been fortunately we jumped on this wagon, more intensively. I feel like this last year, and talking to Coach Kalish and having him on the show has made me even more of a devout SLU soccer fan, even though, I was even one before, having attended there and my dad playing there and just the history that's there. But boy, these guys are inspiring, right? I mean, the run they're on right now, for anyone that might have missed it, we've been getting a lot of great traction on our SLU content. So people that want to keep seeing SLU stuff, we will keep it coming for you. Do not worry. But they punched their ticket. They are in the Final Four, or in soccer, it's called the College Cup, where they had a 3-2 victory over Akron, number 14 in the country, on Saturday afternoon. It was a game to remember, Justin. They went down 2-0. They stormed back. There was a red card for Akron, and the SLU Billikens just kept pounding and chipping away until the ice finally gave way. They equalized, and then it just kind of felt like it was going to happen for them because Akron could not get out. They were in a chokehold. But let's talk about the game. I just want to say again, so inspired by this group of guys. A younger team. I don't think there was a whole lot of expectation going on for them in the beginning of the season, but what Kevin Kalish has done for this program, and I feel like vaulting this young team to a moment of national prominence at this stage, it's incredible, and I cannot wait to see where they take it this weekend. But I'm getting ahead of myself, Justin. What do you think about that Akron match and just the overall vibe of SLU being in the running to win the NCAA soccer D1 title?
It's pretty insane, Jake. So this is the first time they've been back to the College Cup since 1997. So what is that, 28 years?
Yeah.
And for anybody that can't see it right now or didn't watch the game, it was a cold one in Akron. I mean, obviously the Midwest have been getting hit, but there was snow. They had to shovel the snow off pregame. You can see it all around the outsides, and you could see it with the guys. They were slipping. The boys went down 2-0 at half. I'm not going to lie, Jake. I was down in the dumps because this is a tough one. It on the road. You're not expecting. We lost 3-0 to them already this season at Akron, but these guys just don't quit. To Kalish's point when he was on the pod, he said, these guys are old school. They just don't give up, and that's what they did. So right here, and 5 minutes into the second half, we get a little lucky. You put a ball in a dangerous area, and the defender puts one in. It's an own goal for Akron. That's 5 minutes in. We're like, all right, we have a little life. Then we go all the way through. They end up getting a red card, I want to say about 15, 20 minutes later. And it's an unfortunate one for them, right? It's going to always be a red card. It was a high boot in the box, cleats to the face of Theo Franca. You're going to get the red on VAR there. We go up a man, and you can just feel it coming. It's like a snowball effect, pun intended, with all the snow on the ground there, Jake. We just were going at them when we were not stopping. We ultimately broke through the PK with 12 minutes left, just absolutely hammered in the upper 90. I was going absolutely nuts in my house. And then, Jake, 3 minutes left. We put him on skates. We get a nice cross in and a nice finish from Tanner. And we are going back to the College Cup for the first time in 28 years.
It was just you know how when you watch the March Madness and the tournament, and there's just magic, right? There's magic in the air. Some teams have it. I got to say, SLU's got it right now. But you also you talk about luck, and people want to attribute a lot of things to luck. Teams have to manufacture their own sources of luck, or you've heard people talk about like increasing your luck surface area. And SLU, when you put in the hard yards, you're a gritty team. You never give up in these matches, despite going down 2-0 against a team that already 3-0'd you this season, and a team that stepped on the throats of plenty of teams this season. The mentality to be able to battle back, and not only to battle back, but just stick in it long enough to just grab yourself a piece of life there and just take it the distance. They could have let this go to overtime, Justin. They could have let it go longer, but no, they put the sword through the heart. They took a short corner, made it work, and they were chirping the Akron fans in the back, the loyals. There was a lot of actually SLU loyals that made the journey there as well, which is really cool. But now they get to live and experience the world. They actually just got sent off from SLU about 2 hours ago at time of recording here. But there were some heroes in the night. I think Jeremy O'Bonnell, we've heard from Coach Kevin Kalish on the show here a couple of times. Guy's a stud. I mean, he's just got the tools. He made a huge PK save, which we didn't even talk about, that could have really turned the tide of this match as well. But Justin, the College Cup, people, again, probably don't know too much about, but if you do, great. It's in Cary, North Carolina this year. So those final 3 matches, the 2 semis and the final, will take place in Cary, North Carolina. That's also where I believe they play that 7v7 or that tournament where we had Lincoln dueling for Lincoln as well. So it's kind of a soccer complex, and they're hosting this College Cup. And SLU is now going to face another tough opponent. I look at it, Justin, though, and I also think to myself, I mean, this opponent we're going to talk about here is one that just took down, was it George Washington or was it Georgetown? In the match prior, which I think you and I were probably expecting to see triumph in that one. So that it doesn't get any easier, but I look at the trail we left behind, and if I'm SLU, I look in the mirror and I'm like, you know what? it could be anyone, honestly, on the other side of the pitch at this point for us. The team in front of us doesn't matter. It's who's in the mirror looking back at you. And right now we're winning against ourselves, which is all you need to say and carry that into every match.
Yeah, so Jake, this is going to be a tough one for them. So you are right. NC State took down Georgetown 3-2 in the other Elite Eight match, and so now we will be taking on NC State on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. That's going to be on ESPNU. So anybody that doesn't have or was looking to find out where that's at, it's going to be. I think it's like channel like 210 or something on DirecTV. So we will be obviously posting about this all week, but things you need to be on the lookout for with this team. So quick rundown, and I'm going to put out a reel later for this, probably on Thursday. But overall record for NC State, 15-2-4. Their conference record, 4-1-3 at home, 10-2-3 away, 5-0-1 undefeated. But this is a neutral site. They had not played a neutral site all season. So wanted to caveat that. And one guy that you're going to have to really keep an eye on, Jake, is Donovan Phillip. He has started 20 of his 20 games played. I think they've only played 21 games so far this season. 17 goals for these guys. So he's averaging almost a goal a game for NC State. But Jake, to that point, that's huge for us. You've got to lock down one guy. And yes, it's one guy, one incredible guy. But after that, no one else on the team. The next guy has 5 goals, Drew Lovelace. And then after that, it's everybody else has 3, 1, or 0. So this is a very specific attacking style of team with this guy. And I just looked him up, Jake. Again, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research to confirm this. He's from St. Lucia, which is kind of awesome.
Oh, no way. Wow.
6'2", 190 pounds from St. Lucia. And you know where he used to go to school?
No.
Oakland.
Okay.
So this is one of those teams that it's kind of like, yeah, we see the portal and all of this going around. And so I really do think that it's going to be a hell of a matchup for these guys. But if Coach Kalish is going to be seeing this, and we're going to have this guy on absolute lockdown. And I really do like the Bills to take this one home.
God, and can you imagine, being here is incredible, and we will be happy with whatever, right? Because they've given us so many fun memories the last couple weeks here. But being able to advance to a final and give SLU a chance at its first, I would call it, Justin, like modern day championship, right? Like we do boast the most NCAA titles in soccer in the country with 10. A lot of those were collected very early on in like the 60s and 70s, and a couple in the 90s as well. So in the last, at least 30-ish years, we've been in our drought. So to be now kind of having a sniff even at that, it could be life-changing for some of these guys. And I think, trajectory changing for this program as well, as other kids look at what SLU's doing and say, hey, I want to go there. Look at all these guys that are advancing this far. Look at all these guys that are going to MLS. We talked about it with Coach Kalish as well. I mean, it's just a lot of things going very positively. And I don't think it just ends if they are to lose on Friday, but I really hope that magical run keeps going. It'd be fun because you know what? It does end for some teams, as we did see with UMSL, unfortunately, on the weekend at Soccer Park.
Yeah, that was a tough one, Jake. So UMSL lost 3-2 against number 4 seeded Washburn, like you said, at Soccer Park on Saturday, December 6th at 1 p.m. Washburn gave UMSL everything they could handle, but UMSL was resilient. They ended up conceding 2 goals in 2 minutes before halftime, and then rallied back to even in the 57th to then concede 4 minutes later. So just an unfortunate one for them. A hell of a season by the Tritons. They end their season 15-5-2. The 15 wins are tied for the second most in a single season in school history. So again, this is just the growth of soccer. I want to give a huge shout out to them because this is one where obviously they took down Maryville the week before. Huge shout out to them as well, because this is cool to see that we're starting to get everybody all involved, all levels of soccer. We had this from city to city 2, now down to the college level. We talked about the high school level. So getting this all together is huge. And Jake, there was one victorious team to come out with a national title from this past weekend.
A mighty victory, a back-to-back national title for the Wash U women as they defeated Emory 2-1 in the final, again, going straight back-to-back national championships behind a pair of second-half goals. They outshot the Eagles, the Emory Eagles, 21-4, including an 8-2 advantage in shots on goal. So soundly deserved victory as well here. And they really brought their A game in the second half, just kind of pounded them. This is the third Bears title in program history, all coming in the last 10 years. And this also marked the 500th career victory for their head coach. And the Bears finished the year without a loss at 21-0-3. It's the school's 28th national title. And again, the first back-to-back title for the school since men's basketball did it in 2008, 2009. So, we're hitting men's, women's, we're hitting different universities here. Shout out to Wash U. Might you say it's the beginning of a potential dynasty?
Oh, absolutely, Jake. I think that we're in the midst of it. If you go back-to-back national champions and not losing a game, I think it's incredible. So a huge shout out to them. And Jake, when you said that they had gone undefeated, it reminded me, and I'm going to bring this up right now. I was at the Jack Buck Awards on, I believe it was Monday night. And I know that everybody's heard the name of Maddie DiMaria, but I don't think people truly understand who her brother also is on SLU right now, Jack, starting for the SLU Bills.
Stud.
Like,
Yeah.
an absolute stud. Obviously, a huge family with this for soccer, but I don't think people truly understand what she has been doing for Koriezu in high school soccer. Some of these stats that they put in here, but last year, DiMaria was the first freshman named as a Gatorade National Girls Player of the Year and the first St. Louis area soccer player to earn the national award, girl or boys. This is the first time they've ever given it to a freshman, period. And they gave it to her. And this is why. This is because earlier this year, which is her sophomore season, she led Koriezu to 22-1 record for the second consecutive state championship. That was their first one in like 13 years. She scored 4 goals in the semifinal and 2 in the final. She scored 45 goals and 19 assists on this season. For her high school career, in 2 years, has 75 goals and 40 assists. And Jake, this is not like small school. This is Koriezu in St. Louis, Missouri. She's the number 1 ranked player in the country for soccer for her age. She's what would that make her, like 15 years old? I don't even think she could drive a car.
Yeah.
And she got an award last night at the Jack Buck Awards. I forgot what it was actually named, but it was called the Carl O. Bauer Award. And she just gave up and gave a speech. You would have if you close your eyes, her maturity is just out of this world. Already committed to UNC for soccer as a sophomore. Everybody needs to keep an eye on this and keep an eye on her brother this Friday, as the Bills are in the College Cup Final Four.
Yeah, she did the rounds at SLU as well. I mean, obviously, you want to keep the talent here local the best you can, but UNC comes calling. I mean, that's a hard card to turn down. And for women, I always forget how early they commit to these schools when you do have that type of talent. I always attribute the Maddie DiMaria conversation, Justin, to like when you're trying to have a sports conversation with a non-sports person. Like I'll take my wife, for example. I might say, hey, breaking news. Did you see this big thing happen today? Like, and I explain it. And she's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And I feel like when I tell people about Maddie DiMaria, they're like, wow, that she must be really good. I'm like, but that's not it's real. It's like out of this world good. Like she should be going places. Like we're talking national team, we're talking Olympics, we're talking World Cup. If anything that she's done to date is an indicator of what will happen, she is on a fast track.
Dude, I was trying to explain to people that we might have the best soccer player ever in women's soccer. And I'm not kidding. I'm not talking just the U.S., which is obviously pretty dominant when it comes to soccer. I'm talking about the world, Jake. Like, yes, it's very early. I want to pump the brakes. But scoring 75 goals and 40 assists in your first 2 years of high school, and she's on the women's national team for her age, scoring goals for them as well. They put a couple highlights up there, but just incredible.
Special.
I just want to give her a huge shout out. And also there, for anybody that saw our story, City was in the house with Matt Seebeck, and Corey Ray was there as well. And he gave up. And you saw, I think one of the reporters put a tweet out there that like Corey said that we're hoping to land a coach here in the next couple of weeks. And everybody's like, oh my God, like freaking out about timeline. Like pump the brakes. Like, what do you want him to say? Hey, we're going to announce it tomorrow. He did joke that he's going to announce it right there while he was standing there. It was kind of funny. Everybody, he has a good sense of humor, Jake. I'm pretty excited to meet him at some point. But you know, that process is still ongoing. We'll touch on City here in a little bit, but it was good to see them get out and about on some of these award ceremonies as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like, from what I've been able to hear from Corey so far, I like him. He feels very dry, but like in a good way. Like he's not commanding the room, you know, the life of the party guy. He's kind of the guy in the background, and you know is super freaking smart, and he's very well spoken. You can tell every word that comes out of his mouth is very curated and very, you know, fine-tooth comb. So I like the public appearance. It's good to get him out in front of the STL faithful. And Justin, you know, we got some closure this weekend as well with MLS. MLS is done, everyone. The campaign for 2025 is at least done. You know, free agency is now open today. But MLS Cup Final came and went. It was fun. It was really, really fun. I put out a tweet because I was watching it, just encouraging people to tune. I know a lot of you all probably tune out the moment that City's out, and to a degree, I do as well. But tuning back in for this match, you know, Inter Miami, star-studded cast, Messi, Suarez, who didn't even play that much throughout this whole playoff series, as well as, you know, Alba and Busquets in their last game against Thomas Muller and Brian White and Sebastian Berhalter and this whole cast in Vancouver. it was a special, special match. And I'm happy that MLS got to have what I would call a very good representation of what they're trying to do with this league in that final, because it had everything: superstars, tactics, momentum swings, late drama, bang, bang off the post goals. Like, it was so, so exciting. And it almost was just in like the clash of two different types of philosophies in this league, right? You have like your star laden team that has a lot of like kind of filler mixed in with it to pay for those stars. And you have Vancouver, which definitely has its own stars as well, but more about the whole of the team, right? Not necessarily your superstars. Mueller definitely is in that echelon, over his history, maybe not as much now, and still a great player. But it was good to see like a clash of like team first, superstars first. And ultimately, you got to see a little bit of both highlights, but you also got to know that, I mean, in the end, when you get to cup finals, you get to games that mean a whole lot. It pays. It literally pays to have superstars in your teams, as you saw as Miami came out victorious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Messi gets out of there with 2 assists, obviously leads the team. I mean, the stat line, Jake, is and not overly surprising because when you think about how the game went, but Miami only had 35% of the possession. So really about what you do when you do have that. And it was an electric game. I literally had SLU up on the big screen, and I had that down on the little screen. And then when the SLU game ended, put that up on the big screen with a little Bama Georgia on the small screen as well. It was a hell of a Saturday, but that game was electric. And then if you remember, I think was it tied 1-1 when Vancouver had this shot that went off of both posts and back out. And then ultimately got cleared off the line again for another save. I do think if they score that one, they might win this championship, but then Miami ended up running away with it, won the game 3-1. DePaul scored the second goal in the 71st, and then Adele in the 90th +6 to really put the nail in the coffin. The only complaint I have, Jake, is, well, I guess there's two. One is the whole pink versus white. I didn't really appreciate the jersey matchup, which is very small and like a little petty. But then also too, I get Miami wants to play like at their home stadium on their final, but I just feel like it would have helped to grow the game a little bit more and just move that to where the Dolphins play and move to Hard Rock, move it to an NFL stadium, get that thing packed. You know it's going to be a sellout anyways. But I mean, props to them, and it's a huge win for them. And I think it's great for the MLS. It really shows that Messi came here and it wasn't just a retirement league, that he actually won a cup. And then did you see how much he celebrated? People were like shocked, and I myself included, about how happy he was about winning this trophy. And I think it was absolutely awesome.
I think he's bought in. I think a lot of people have their thoughts about what his intentions are. And I've seen nothing personally to say that he's here for the paycheck or just for the popularity, the commercial appeal, the sponsorships, which he's got plenty of, by the way. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but I do believe that he's bought in. I do believe that he knows where he's at, and he knows that if he can continue what he's doing, which, by the way, locked up a second MVP back-to-back seasons now. He was the best player when it comes to goals added. We talk about what Mike brings to the table and some of the analytics and how you measure performance. He was one of 5,000 players. He was number one. So he was special performance this year. And even against, not the same amount of minutes as some of your other fellow stars have. So impact means something. He's got that global appeal. He got more eyeballs on this game, and he will be here for another 2 years. So I think Miami got validation. That spending strategy, the global star model, it can work. It can work. I'm not saying it just will work. It also reinforces, David Beckham, Jorge Mas, what this ownership group has done. It paid off. You got your MLS Cup. You've got a Leagues Cup as well. The trophies are starting to fill up in this cabinet. For Vancouver, I think you also get some positives. I think it changes a lot of how they were viewed, and they were viewed very positively heading into this playoffs, these MLS Cup playoffs. What they've done this season was nothing short of incredible. And I think they've gone from, maybe just a tough out or, a tough team in the West to someone that you legitimately now fear in the West. Like, they are officially added to I'm a little more scared when we go to Vancouver, when Vancouver comes here, because they've got this in their locker. They gave Miami everything they could handle. If you think about a boxing match, Justin, they knocked Miami down a couple times. There was times in this match I thought they might just run away with it, and Miami would be done, like absolutely done. It was wide open at times. Vancouver had the calling card, just couldn't throw that final death punch, unfortunately, which I'd have been fun to see, honestly, either one of these teams win. But just, again, for a casual in the game, it was a really good sort of viewership experience for the product.
Yeah, and if you saw Mike's tweet, he said literally the best team versus the best player, which is the best way to describe this game. And it was a fair matchup. So for anybody that can't see this visually, also sharing here the MVP voting results. Messi ran away with it. 70% of the total vote. It goes between media, player, and club. Second place was Anders Dreyer. So for media, Messi had 83%. But then from a player vote perspective, Messi only had 55%.
That was weird.
Which is, yeah, it's kind of a weird like split. Like all these other people, like if you look at this, Anders Dreyer had 19%. And then actually Evander, who got fourth place, had 12% from the players themselves. So it's cool to see that kind of breakout. And then from a club perspective, though, Evander had 0%. So it's like, I'm just really, really intrigued on how some of these are getting voted on. But ultimately, when Messi with 70% of the vote and with the dub, then Anders Dreyer with 11, Dennis Bawanga, Denny at 7%, Evander at 5%, and then Sam Sturridge down there, 2.4%. Had a hell of a season, a ton of XG and a ton of goals, but obviously you can't compete with some of the names above him.
Agreed. Messi getting 55% of the player vote just tells me that 45% of the players are Ronaldo guys. That's just all it tells me. Let's talk U.S. Open Cup, Justin. There was an announcement as well over the past week about U.S. Open Cup and the structure for the 111th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, which will run from mid-March to October 21st of 2026. It has been reduced to 7 rounds, one fewer than recent installments, to avoid conflict with the FIFA World Cup. Got to wrap that thing up. And there's 80 total teams across the professional and amateur levels with a $1 million purse. Plus, the winner will qualify for the 2027 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Spoiler alert, we're back in it, which ironically kind of feels like a negative. And when you think about the competition and like how you qualify for these tournaments now, I don't think it's a negative at all. I think we love the history, the significance, especially locally, of this format and this tournament. But now it's like, well, if you're here, that means you're not somewhere else. And there's more prize money there, and there's more, maybe luster in certain places. But I think if you ask a St. Louis, and we're happy back in it now. There's 48 professional teams, again, down from 64. And for us, Justin, I think the most important thing is we're going to drop in at a point in this tournament where there will have already been a first round played. 32 amateur teams versus 32 pro, D2 or D3 teams, Division 2, Division 3, not, D2, D3 college. And then in round 32, the winners will face off. And then, that was second round. Round of 32 is a 16 round 2 winners versus the 16 MLS clubs dropping in. And again, those 16 clubs, including us, are the clubs that are not in the CONCACAF Champions Cup and not in the Leagues Cup. So there'll be 8 MLS home seeds and 8 MLS away seeds, way to divvy it up. I believe we're slated for a home seed, if I'm not mistaken. So there's some changes, some things to kind of keep in mind for us, Justin. It means we're probably playing our first game of the Open Cup in the round of 16 sometime in late April. April 28th, 29th are the 2 potential dates for that. So I'm glad. I don't know what you thought about this news, Justin. I'm glad to be back in this tournament. Again, it's another cup competition, another chance at a trophy. When you're being dropped in to a round of 16, it's like, you got to win a couple of games here and make a push at this trophy. I mean, worse teams have done it. It just got to hit, the magic needs to click at the right time. So I'm hoping that by April, we're spun up and we're competing.
Yeah, and it's kind of insane, Jake, when I just want to make sure everybody understands how large this tournament is. The first round of the tournament was on September 13th. So over, almost 3 months ago now at this point, we're already through the 4th round, and we already talked about it. Both St. Louis took down the Chicago House AC 3-2. So this thing will keep continuing to go all the way through April. Obviously, a little bit of a pause there with all the weather during the winter here, but it's a really, really cool format. So I would love for us that we can go like a deep dive once we get back into it again. I know, and I truly, to your point, it is exciting for us to be back in it. There is a little bit of like a caveat, like you're back in the Open Cup because you didn't make the Champions Cup or you did it in the playoffs. And there's so many nuances to it now to make sure that all the teams get some equality there, which I do appreciate, but then it also kind of rubs you the wrong way in some sense. But I'm really just more happy that we are going to be able to have this and host this again in St. Louis, because it is a storied tournament when it comes to St. Louis.
No, I agree. And Justin, final news story here before we break down the World Cup draw. MLS is officially underway in terms of the offseason for all teams. So again, MLS Cup came to an end. Basically, that usually is the kickstart of the offseason. So think about your roster events and whatnot. So today, Wednesday, the 10th, free agency opened. So free agency is now open for us. We can go out and sign free agents. You'll start to see a lot more news about that coming up. Tomorrow, the 11th, re-entry stage opens, and I'll get through what those are. Thursday as well, end of year waivers close. Wednesday of next week, the 17th, reentry stage 2 happens. And then MLS Super Draft happens on Thursday, the 18th. So we talked about some keywords there. Free agency is exactly what you think. It's traditional open process. Criteria for players there is they're out of contract, they're at least 24, and they have a minimum of 4 years of MLS service under their belt. Those are free agents by criteria. I mentioned re-entry and waivers, and I had to brush up on this too, Justin, because there's you can go digging in this. This isn't like, just trash. These are players that could be overlooked, need more minutes, or, just need a chance to get a run in the team and show what they're capable of. So re-entry and waivers, these are draft-based mechanisms. They're conducted in reverse order of this past season's finish. So we'd be sitting pretty well in this one. And obviously it also takes postseason into account as well to finalize that order. You do not have to select players as part of these processes, but re-entry means players who are out of contract with at least 22 years old, not 24 like free agents, and a minimum of 1 year of MLS service. For waivers, those are out of contract players who do not meet the criteria for either free agency or re-entry. So that's everyone else that is caught in the waivers. And obviously we all know super draft. Remember, we only have a first and second round pick this year. We flipped our third to Minnesota for Padelford on the loan last summer, which, by the way, very worth it, especially if we're able to grab him on a more permanent basis. But that's what we have to look forward to coming up. Justin, I'm going to pose a question to you. Give me your thoughts. One of the listeners responded when I said we were going to do this live stream tonight and asked, do you envision the club making any sort of signings in this time period prior to having a head coach installed? That was Daniel G42. I responded with my take. I'm not sure if you saw it, Justin, but what do you think? Do you think the club will hold pat until we get a head coach, or will they give Corey Ray the go ahead and say, go out and get someone if you want to really show some value here?
I wouldn't be surprised if we do some signings, to be completely honest, because it all depends on where we're at in the head coach search, which obviously, per his comments, likely to have a head coach signed here before Christmas. However, that does not mean that you just kind of sit on your thumbs and wait around to see what happens, or wait for that guy to ultimately get the approval. I think you need to have those conversations early and often. And then also, I would assume that you really are kind of honing into now either a guy or two, and the playing style. You probably even try to loop them in on some of these conversations. Like, hey, if we would take you, would you be interested in this guy? Like, it doesn't mean you can't bounce these ideas off these guys. So I would not be surprised if we sign one. I don't want people getting up in arms of like, oh, we're signing players again, or we're making decisions before we have a coach. It's Diego pulling all the strings and no head coach, no SD. Like, what are we doing with this? But I think ultimately the club is working as a massive group and doing this intelligently. I think it would be inappropriate for them to just wait for a head coach and then be like, okay, now it's time to go sign players. So I wouldn't be surprised. I would appreciate if we do have a head coach to have some input in that, but I would assume that they're doing that even prior to signing. But what was your response? No, I didn't see it.
No, it was very close to that. I was going to say, I mean, it's good to have a head coach have a seat at the table in these discussions and who you target and want to go after. I do not think it is imperative either. I think Corey Ray, ultimately, he's the guy that's supposed to execute, the vision, our sporting vision. And he goes out and looks for players to sign and bring in that will, bring that vision to life. Now, if the head coach disagrees, that's one thing, and it's nice to have that voice, certainly. But I do not think just not having one means that you can just stand pat. Because what if he does have his eye on a couple players here? Again, underserved, overlooked players that maybe some diamonds in the rough that you could give a second shot here. And again, these are players that they don't want to be here. They don't want to be on the waivers. They don't want to be a part of re-entry. They don't want to be free agents. So you can also kind of have your own leverage in these discussions as well. So if there's a mutual kind of match there where a player wants to sign with you and you want to sign them and you make it work, I mean, I just don't know why we would stand pat, right? I think you give Corey Ray the ability to be flexible at that time and go for it. And I agree, Justin, it's not like he's doing this in a vacuum. He's probably filling a lot of his day right now with looking for the head coach and whatnot. So he should almost be representing their interests as well, if not already knowing who they're going to go for, especially if it's Laurent Courtois. It's a guy that he's worked with intimately in the past. So it's like, I can kind of speak for him as well. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. There's definitely a short list of guys that we're already looking at based on what we want to build. I do think having a head coach to get, like, I would be shocked if we are looking at a guy, especially if Corey Ray has Courtois coming in, and it's like, and the head coach is like, absolutely not. What are you guys thinking? This is the dumbest decision ever, right? So I just step back in that sense, because we do have some very intelligent people that are looking and scouting these guys right now. So if it is end up signing someone prior to a head coach, I would not be surprised. I would like for some input to be happening there. But again, behind closed doors, we're never going to know.
Let them cook. Let them cook, Justin. I agree. That's the theme here. And it's also the theme when we think about our presenting sponsor, Hoffman Brothers. Because honestly, guys, sometimes just let the pros do what they got to do. Unless you all listening right now are like, hey, I know how to do everything under the roof. And if you do, give me your cell number. I could probably give you a call as well. But most of you probably don't. But I can promise you the Hoffman Brothers do. They got that pedigree. They have the professionalism for any services you need at home or at your work for commercial needs as well. Under the roof. Again, think about your ducts, think about your HVAC, think about your AC, your furnace, think about anything like that. Your generators and storm seasons, Hoffman Brothers has you covered. So let the pros do what the pros do sometimes. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to be a DIY, be thrifty and do it yourself. Honestly, it's just sometimes good to fork it over and have it done right. And Hoffman Brothers, I promise you, will do right by you. Make sure you give them a call at 314-664-3011 or visit them online at hoffmanbros.com.
Yeah, Jake, that was a perfect way to say it. And it's a perfect segue because you know what? We're talking about this cold weather right now, but the last segment that we got here is going into the World Cup, and there is going to be some sweaty games. I don't even just mean from how hot it's going to be in some of these places. I'm talking about how good some of these matchups are now that we had the draw on Friday. So, Jake, I have a quick graphic to show here. For anybody that can't see it, we'll kind of talk you through it just high level. We're not going to go through all 48 of these teams in the different groups. But before we dive into the U.S. group, when you saw this happening, and for anybody that didn't watch it, I would highly suggest just going to the YouTube video and watching it, because I thought that Fernand did an incredible job of explaining like why they had to skip over groups, right? Because there were so many times where it's like, oh, wow, that's going to be a hell of a group. And they're like, nope, they can't go there because they're also a European country. Like 5 groups down to be able to fit them in. So the funniest one that happened with that was ended up being Group C, right? It was Brazil and Morocco. And then so they actually then drew Paraguay. And then so we were like, oh, wow. So I thought Paraguay was going to go into their group. Like, no, Paraguay had to come into our group because you can't have 2 people in the same CONCACAF or same confederation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, then you know who they got was Scotland. And then people in the crowd started like laughing. Like after they had to jump over a couple different pretty strong teams, they get Scotland, which is one of the worst teams in the tournament.
Yeah, no, the World Cup draw, man, it's time intensive. You got to be patient to sit through that to actually get to what you want, and then you got to have your minor in World Cup draw as well. Because the kids doing the video, by the way, I think was amazing, and this is possibly the most learned I had ever been on this process, and even that video still helped me. But it helped me like be informed as I was watching this because it is so intricate. If you're the guys drawing the balls like Tom Brady and Shaq and Wayne Gretzky, God love them. And it's confusing. Like by the way, the balls were super hard to unscrew. There's so many things that can go wrong. They've got this thing nailed down. And Justin, I could not be happier with where we landed as the U.S. men's national team. And I'll put one more comment out there before you break us down on what you think about this draw for us, because people have called it the group of life potentially. And you want to think about that starting from a U.S. men's national team perspective. Like, okay, U.S. drew Australia from pot 2, Paraguay from pot 3, and then the winner of a UEFA qualification tournament between Slovakia, Kosovo, Turkey, and Romania. Let's just call it Turkey for now. So we think they'll qualify there. If you're looking at that, I think that's one of your best case scenarios in terms of a group. But I also, Justin, look at the group around us, and I think Australia, Paraguay, and Turkey probably feel the same. You know what I mean? They could have drawn a Spain, a France, a Brazil as their pot 1 team, but no, they got the U.S. men's national team. And I think to a lot of folks, they don't take that as seriously. So this whole group, I feel like kind of shares the same perspective that we feel, which is a little bit scary.
Oh, yeah, it is, Jake, because look at this. When we talk about this, we talk about FIFA rankings and ELO rating. So for anybody that can't see this, we'll talk through it live as well. The U.S. got placed into pot 1 because we're the hosts. Typically, that would have been the top 12 teams in the world. So we have the U.S., Canada, Mexico being in there, none of which are the top 12 teams in the world. Yep. So then you only have the top 9 teams after that before the other 3 teams get moved into pot 2. So we were ranked 14th in FIFA, 34th in ELO. And again, Jake, do you want to give a quick rundown on why we kind of use ELO a little bit more, especially around this time of year, than you do FIFA rankings?
Yeah, ELO, I think I talked about last time, tends to react faster to like real performance and is often seen as more of a predictor, a lot more of a power ranking type rating than the FIFA ranking, which, doesn't factor in things like, goal difference or home advantage as well. So I think taking both together really gives you a much fuller picture than just one or the other, because just I look at 14th in FIFA and I'm just like, I don't know if I buy that. I think we could be very, very good at our best, but I don't think we've deserved necessarily that ranking either over the course of the year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at 14th in FIFA, I mean, if everything played out just pen to paper on that sense, that would put what us in like the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
We for sure. And so, yeah, I would love to get there. We'll talk about the odds here from DraftKings here in a little bit, but 14th for us, 34th in ELO. So yeah, I'd put us probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Or that'd be like 22nd, 23rd. But then here's why, to your point, Jake, while everybody else in the group is probably looking at it like, hey, I have a chance getting out. Australia, they're 26th and 30th in FIFA and ELO. So they're actually higher than us in ELO. Then you go to Paraguay, who's 39th in FIFA, but 21st in ELO. So another team that's higher than us than ELO. And then if you go and look into the group of Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo, only one of them is getting out. But to that point, Jake, I want to say, did I have that someone here? Like what the average was of that group? Oh, yeah, the ELO rating average of that group is 39th. Just slightly behind us. And technically, they were a pot 4 draw. Should have been the worst 12 teams in the group. And then their FIFA ranking is 49. So again, a very strong group all the way around. And it's one that we definitely, if I'm those other teams, I'm looking at it like, damn, we got a chance as well. Because Jake, specifically, as you mentioned, you think Turkey's getting out of this? Their FIFA ranking is 25th and their ELO rating is 15th. So they have them. They would have been ultimately a pot 2 draw for everybody else that would be looking at this. And they're going to be coming at us at the 4th. So I think that we really have 3 teams that should have been a pot 2 almost, and one team being a pot 3. So it's a stronger group, but more even. And that's why people call it group of life, because it seems like anybody could kind of make their way out of it. But you'd really expect the U.S. to get out, especially with how it is now, that the first and the second team for sure get out. And then 8 of the top 12 third place teams get out as well.
Certainly. I think it's the group of balance. And I think balance, frankly, is the theme across the board. You saw so much more balance this year with a 48 team expanded format. There's obviously in a lot of groups, there's like your cream puff game, but there's a lot of groups with 3 pretty good teams. There's tiers to good, right? Some of those teams are your Frances and your Spains and whatnot. But Justin, I looked at this and I know you can quantify it. You can look at ELO, you can look at average FIFA rankings and determine who the group of death technically is. There was no screaming at you saying, I am the group of death. Look at me. This is going to be hell for all 4 of these teams. And I think it's because of the 48 team expanded tournament. You're separating so many really quality teams into now 4 additional groups. And you're giving other teams that have a fighting chance as well. So I think the draw was just interesting because, again, the first time this is a 48 team expanded format type tournament, and you split up the top 4 teams as well into the different sides of the bracket. But again, for the U.S., Justin, as balanced as it is in the group, you have to go out and get business done. I just don't know when you'll have another tournament like this, at least soon, where you won't have someone from pot 1 staring you down and looking at you and saying, we're going to pick up the 3 points here. So, Justin, I've already gone as far as to say, so we're, 4 teams here in this group. I think you and I, we've talked about our expectations here, right? You've got to plan to win this group. You've got to expect to win this group. And by the way, it's not just like, oh, vibes. It'd be so fun to win the group. And this is about as weak as a group as we've had. No, it's because if you win this group, you will be handsomely rewarded with a much, much friendlier path to advanced parts of this tournament. When I say that, if we win this group, by the way, Group D, I want to keep an eye on Group D is where we at. Group D, if you win that, you go 1D, I'll call it. You're the first position team in Group D after group play is done. We will go on July 1st to play a 3rd place team from one of 4 groups, Group B, E, F, I, and J, in the round of 32 in San Francisco. So we'll stay on the West Coast. Remember, all of our games are LA, Seattle, LA. So geography is already on our side. No plane legs. If you win that, again, you're playing a 3rd place team from one of those groups. If you win that, again, now we're going on to the round of 16 because, again, round of 32 is the new round because of the expanded format. The round of 16 would be a July 6th bout versus likely a first-place team from Group G, which is Belgium, most likely, again. If everything goes well, to the FIFA rankings, let's just say that for now, you're looking at a date with Belgium, which, Justin, would it not be a great bookend to the story with Belgium to finally undo them, 8 years later? No, did they do this in 2014? It's
I think it's
2014 they did this, yeah. So, I
Uh,
mean,
go ahead.
Belgium, Dayton, Seattle as well. By the way, you're staying on the West Coast. You go back to Seattle, very pro-US crowd. And Justin, let's dream for a second. If you somehow manage to get that far and you somehow manage to beat Belgium in Seattle, you win that, you're playing Spain, most likely, in a quarterfinal in Los Angeles. Does it get any more Hollywood than that?
No, and obviously we're getting very far ahead of ourselves, but you want to look at the path that we have. And so I think that's a very impressive one and one that I'm rooting for us. Jake, when I looked at this, again, like you said, there's no group of death, but when I looked at this and just looking at teams and looking at how they're playing right now, I think a really interesting one that is kind of flying a little bit under the radar, and it's actually going to have some games in Kansas City, is Netherlands, Japan, a UEFA playoff team, and Tunisia. I think that is going to be an also pretty balanced group, and Netherlands being one of the favorites, and we'll talk about some odds here in a second. I think that's a really balanced one. Then you also got England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. That's a scrappy one. And then lastly, the one that I really think I would consider the group of death. We'll talk about all the numbers, and I'm probably going to make a reel out for that. But France, Senegal, a playoff, and Norway.
That's it. That's got to be it. France and Senegal have history. France is going to be a tough out. Senegal is going to be a very tough out. The winner of the Confederation playoff makes that up, and then Norway. So, I mean, those are three at least very, very strong teams in that group. You'd be shocked if one of those third place spots doesn't go to Group I, which I'm actually going back up that I mentioned I. We would play potentially a third place team from Group I in the round of 32 if we won the group. So you could have a date with one of them, which would be very, very fun. But again, we won't get that far. I agree, Justin. I think Group I, if anything, to me is the group I would least want to be in, because again, there's no big outliers, which I think is actually kind of cool. It saves a lot of the best matches for latter stages of the tournament, which we all care about, knockout matches, right? So it was a fun little event. I mean, there's so much fun to look forward to. Again, there's so many groups, 12 groups to keep an eye on now. We are Group D. Watch out for Group D. I thought Mexico, Justin, got hooked up in their group with South Africa. Korea Republic won't be an easy team. And then they play the winner of the UEFA Playoff D, which, again, will be a good European team in that. But Mexico, I think, got a decent draw. Canada, other host country, drew a Confederation playoff winner, as well as Qatar and Switzerland. Switzerland going to be a tough match for sure. I think Switzerland looks at that and says, we've got to win this group, and we absolutely can. They're a good team. They obviously played us off the field a couple months ago. So, I mean, there's so many fun matchups to look forward to, even in group play. But again, it's nice to see that when it gets to the knockout rounds, a lot of those big, blockbuster titles, those will be waiting right there, not happening in the group.
Yeah, and Jake, we obviously have plenty of time before the first match on June 11th. The U.S. first match is actually going to be on Friday, June 12th. But we should talk about some odds here real quick, and I'm going to send us into a message from our friend at DraftKings before we go into the odds for the U.S. Missouri, your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is now live. You can make every game even more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more, all from your phone, all safe, secure, and easy to use. Missouri fans know game day, the tailgates, the noise, the passion. Now with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bring that same energy to every snap, touchdown, and every win. And right now, new Missouri customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action, powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code BWSTL. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code BWSTL. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. All right, Jake, that was a lot, but I promise you it was worth it because if you heard that, if you bet $5, you get $300 in bonus bets. You can automatically put those on these World Cup futures. So what we're sharing right now for anybody that's not watching visually are the World Cup odds for the winners. Yes, Spain is the favorite at plus 450. England plus 550, France 750, Brazil 800. And then you start to get a little bit of a sprinkler further and further down. And so when I say plus 800, if you put 10 down, you'd win 80 plus your money back on the 10. What really shocked me here, Jake, is look at Italy. Italy hasn't even qualified for the World Cup. And yet they have the 10th best odds? They have better odds than Belgium, Colombia, Uruguay, Switzerland, Ecuador, Morocco, Mexico, US. They are still in the playoff. And then they also have to win that and then they will be technically a pot 4 team, so they will be technically the worst team is what they're supposed to be coming into that group. It's absolutely insane to me.
That is insane. No, that is really insane. I there are some posers in some of these projections here, Justin. In my opinion, I mean, England being second favorite makes zero sense to me, unless our friends at DraftKings are obviously some of the smartest people out there, and they probably know exactly how England can get there in terms of the path, and they know the walk will be a little bit easier than some of the other teams. So I don't know. I'm not buying England on this. Justin, can you show us some of the group winners? Because the U.S., as much as we were hyping them up here, it's juicy for the group qualification for the U.S. But Justin, to win, is that something you're interested in off the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, so for us to qualify out of the group, so essentially get first or second or even third, it's minus 575. You would have to put $575 down to win 100. So obviously, I'm not touching that. Us to win the group, yeah, we have the best odds at plus 130. I talked to you, and I do think that is going to change a little bit once Turkey, more than likely, wins that playoff. Because then once that they'll take off Romania, Slovakia, and Kosovo from that board. But I do like the U.S. to win the group at plus 130. Makes me a little bit more nervous. I kind of like a little sprinkle, though, Jake, on the U.S. to get runner up in the group at plus 230. I think that's going to be a little bit more interesting one for us because I do think that we could drop a game or a point here or there and not not get first in the group and still make it out and still be happy. I'll say content with where we're at. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if these odds move a little bit, but that's the reason why you sign up for DraftKings today. Use code BWSTL. You bet $5, you get 300, and you don't have to put all 300 in one spot. You can put 10 on here, 20 on there, 100 on here. Throw it everywhere. You can put it on games today, NFL games, anything you want.
Yeah, shout out to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook for the promotions. They're hooking up Missouri customers. Make sure you sign up today. Justin, I also have for the World Cup topic here. We love data. We're a pro data pod here. There is also Opta has released their predictions for the FIFA World Cup in the wake of the draw as well. Opta is a great resource for anyone. They do some great tweets, great social media. They have some great data analysis. And they've got Spain clocking in at a 17% chance right now. Guess who's next? France, not England. France at 14, England at 11. Then you get Argentina, Germany, Portugal, Brazil. A lot of your normal players. Where does the U.S. clock in here, Justin? I've got them at 0.9% chance to win the World Cup. Mexico at 1.3, a little surprising there. I mean, we can dream all we want, but it's funny to see how this doesn't necessarily reflect some of the odds that you just walked us through on DraftKings as well, and how they kind of go against each other sometimes. But it's with this format, Justin. There's going to be the temperatures will be soaring this time of the year in the U.S. They're going to try to geographically kind of base a lot of these teams. They're not traveling so far for these matches, but the way that they've structured it, I really appreciate the attention to detail on rewarding your winners, on rewarding your best teams. Because again, we talked about Spain, France, England, and Argentina being placed in separate quadrants of the tournament. That only happens if they win the group. Those things could get done. So they could get totally undone if they do not win their group. So if Spain falter or France falters or England or Argentina, that whole thing, they lose their advantage. Same with the U.S. We're not one of those 4 teams, but winning your group, I don't think is meant any more than it has before in this World Cup. It means everything. It means you're geographically located or more central to where you start. It means obviously you play a third place possible team if you win your group as well. So the rewards are so heavy that I think these teams will approach group play a lot more cutthroat than maybe in iterations past.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one that we're going to have to take very carefully, right? So there's going to be plenty of time between these games. I want to say there's like 4 or 5 days between each of the teams playing. Obviously, there's multiple games every day that are ongoing. But for the U.S. to play on Friday, I want to say I would have to go back and look at the schedule, but I'm pretty sure we don't play until like Wednesday or something like that again. So something that you really can take into consideration and then really focus on that next match. And one thing that we haven't mentioned for anybody that doesn't know this, the last game of the group stage for each of the groups, those 2 matches, while the 4 teams, they kick off at the same time. So there's no such thing as like, oh yeah, let's all just like kick the ball. And if we go through 1-1, let's not do anything here. Nothing crazy, Greg. But yeah, there's nothing like that. So I'm so excited about this World Cup, Jake. And there's plenty of time. We're going to get details, give you guys more graphics and things like that. Maybe we'll break down each of the groups as we kind of just space things out over the next couple months. Just having the draw and everything back in the States For anybody that hasn't already, you can be looking at tickets in Kansas City. There's a game that I've been looking at, so please don't take my tickets. Been really monitoring the Netherlands-Tunisia game, Jake. Seeing a top 5 team like Netherlands play in Kansas City at Arrowhead, I think tickets were like, I saw one go out there for $330. I tried to buy them, and then someone already purchased them. Now they're like $450. I'm just kind of trending that, see if it'll drop a little lower. You can get into any game. I believe there are some games for like $220, where it's just two basically pot 4 teams against each other. But monitor those, because I promise you, this is not something you're going to want to miss next summer.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime thing. It's going to be so fun to see it here in the States. And yeah, Justin, I agree. We'll definitely cover this in more detail because we've got so much more time leading up to this. But I also know it'll be here very, very quickly. So again, that's all we have for the show today. If you just kind of joined us in the middle or after the first 5 or so minutes, encourage you all to consider purchasing tickets for Hope for the Holidays. We'll put out a post after this on X and Instagram, so you can go find that link and click on it. We are selling them at 20% off for the next 24, actually 26 hours technically. So make sure you go get your tickets. Again, it'd be great to meet you all, see you all, and spend money having a good time together, but also going towards a great cause. Head and neck cancer is obviously so important to myself and Justin. And again, if there's anything that you've all felt compelled to respond to or to support us in any way, it's this. We care deeply about this and making a dent, our biggest dent possible in head and neck cancer, and supporting a place like Simon Cancer Center, which is just honestly miracles for so many families and patients. So encourage you all to highly, highly consider it. We'll put those links out, and we appreciate you all in the meantime. And just this time of year, I know, wallets are tight, checkbooks are getting a little bit thinner with all these expenses, but I promise you, we will make this money well spent.
Absolutely. If you buy a ticket now in the next 26 hours, that is, again, to have a hell of an afternoon. We're not even asking for your full Saturday night, just your midday Saturday down at the pitch with our awesome friends there. With our friend John O'Leary as well, giving a presentation along with some presentations from some individuals at the Head and Neck Cancer Center. So for $80, you can join us there. All you can drink, all you can eat, have a nice afternoon with us down at the pitch, and all proceeds go directly to Simon Cancer Center and the Head and Neck Cancer Center there as well. So please consider buying a ticket. This is a flash sale. We will not be doing this again. We're just over a week out from the event on Saturday, December 20th, 1 to 4 p.m. down at the pitch.
All right. Well, that brings us to a natural close again. Thank you all for listening today and considering this once in a lifetime opportunity to attend Hope for the Holidays. For anyone that's been there, tell your friends. It's a blast. We've had so much fun these last 2 years. This is our 3rd year in a row, looking to cross maybe like an $150,000 threshold, 3-year total, which would be fascinating. Honestly, I cannot believe that's the number of company that we're in. But with your help, we can do that. So thank you all again for tuning in today. So much more to come from us in the final weeks of 2025, but we're excited to ring it all in with you and continue into 2026 on some good momentum. So in the meantime, all for City.
All for Bills.